Welcome, everyone. My name's Ali Zuba, and I am the marketing director for Main Street Yoga Centers. And with me today, I have Iris Mickey. She is a experienced yoga teacher and yoga therapist, and her current study has been with Nada Yoga. And we're excited to have you here, Iris, to learn a little bit more about your offerings. So welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to tell people about it. It's really become my primary practice. I'm I'm quite sure that it can reach everybody, which is one of the things that I love about it. I love for all of the subtleties of yoga to become more accessible to more people.
Wonderful. So yeah, there are so many lineages of yoga. And so I'm curious, how would you define Nada yoga, or where does it come from in that,
Yeah,
branch model of yoga?
yeah. It's actually very old. They speak about it even in the Vedas and many of the very old yoga texts. However, it's not a branch of yoga that it's more esoteric. If we might talk about chakra yoga as a more esoteric practice, it's one that in the Western culture we're more familiar with, but Nada yoga is very old, and so it's this idea of Brahma, even the beginning is from sound, and sound meaning vibration. So this path is about spanda yoga, which is the pulse of consciousness. And so it's this idea that the pulse of consciousness, which is first great stillness, right? Which that's a paradoxical word, nada yoga. Sometimes it's also pronounced nad yoga, just so you know. You hear it both ways, like many things in yoga. And there was a simultaneous meaning of it being deep silence and stillness, and then the beginning of vibratory sound is what Nad Yoga is. And so it's both. And when I teach, it's both about deep listening and about this vibration of our own being as a form of consciousness that we're lucky enough to be in, and that we can practice with that. So when I teach, I offer a lot of different reference points to different texts that it comes from. So it doesn't come from a particular like style of yoga. It's more like a foundational part of yoga.
That's wonderful. And I love what you said about, it's the deep stillness, but also, engaging with that vibration of sound. Like I've had deep experiences in silence and stillness, and deep experiences, maybe we would call them ecstatic in some regard with sound. So that's wonderful. Can you talk a bit more about your own journey with sound or vibration, and how maybe you landed here with your many years of study and practice?
Yeah, so it's very interesting because, well, my mother did yoga when I was young, which is where I was introduced, and I just thought it was a fun physical practice when I was a little kid. And it wasn't until later in my life that I really took it on, and it really helped me through some times in life that were really challenging, is why I came to it. And so I started out in Kripalu yoga, and I've studied. Anusara yoga and Vini yoga, and in my yoga therapy training, it's kind of a conglomeration of all the different things that and paths that I have learned that include all the practices, pranayama and meditation. I've had a strong meditation practice for very many years. However, what's interesting to me is that now sound is my meditation practice. So I came to, oh, I've always loved to use my voice. I am not a professional singer at all, but I think more people love to sing than admit. And unfortunately, in our Western culture, we have this idea that, oh, I'm not a singer, like that's for professional people and I shouldn't sing. And sometimes that's been told to us in different ways, or sometimes we just sort of come into this belief of it because it's part of our culture. And actually, using our voice is a very natural thing to do. And in other cultures, they very naturally make sounds and sing as part of their daily life. And it's so powerful that when I chant, and I'm talking about like just making, sometimes just making sounds, like one of the syllables in the Vedas that they talk about with Nada Yoga is simply the word noom. We think about om, but this is noom, Noom, and you chant it and you keep repeating it, and it takes me into meditation quicker and with greater ease than my standard mantra meditation did. That I love that practice. There's not, they're all good practices. It's just that this is my practice now, and I also did integral sound healing training. So I'm also using other instruments, and I offer sound baths. And I also have incorporated sound into my yoga therapy with individual clients. So, for instance, you might have a big singing bowl on your belly or a lyre on your back that is a strumming instrument, and it vibrates into the body. And then sometimes I have people simultaneously make sounds. It can be simply a humming, which maybe you and I will do later, but um, so that inner vibration and outer vibration come together, and it's a powerful tool for transformation.
Yeah.
So
I'm loving this conversation because, I've had a lot of experience with sound baths. So like receiving sound, that external vibration coming in. And, my chanting experience or my vocal experience might just be with the mantra Om, and that's kind of where that kind of closes. And maybe some of the seed mantras, the
yeah,
seed
the
sounds as
syllables,
well.
the chakras, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are common things that people in our Western culture have been exposed to with the voice, but it's pretty limited unless they go to kirtan, which is bhakti yoga, the yoga of the heart. And then you're chanting with words that have meaning. And the way that we start with sound is even without meaning, it's just the vibration.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious about where you've been studying recently, and I heard you took a trip to India, and I'm just kind of curious about, how you've deepened your practice through study, and if you could share a little bit about where you've been.
Yes. My primary teacher right now for the voice is Sylvia Nakash, and she is a teacher in California. She teaches at a university there, and she studied with Ali Akbar Khan, and many people don't haven't heard of him in the West, but he's kind of like the father of Indian classical music. He has since passed, but that was her original teacher, and it's the study of raga, which is again with sound and syllables, but using different scales that are made for different seasons, different intentions, different rasas, so different emotions that it addresses. And so I've been studying with her. I've been to California and studied with her, and I also study with her once a week online. And we went to India. I was there for 6 weeks, and for 10 days of that, we were with her current teacher, um, Uday, and his shala, his teaching shala, which in traditional Indian study, you go and you stay in a teacher's home.
Mhm.
And so we chanted from 6:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And, we had lovely meal breaks, but it was intense. And through that kind of study, you get a transmission. It's more than a learning, it's a transmission. It's again like that vibration. You are vibrating and you're being vibrated into through this. And so that is really my love right now. And so every morning I use my Shruti box or my harmonium, and I chant first just sounds, then syllables, and then sometimes there's a chant that arises from that.
Yeah.